Hello and welcome to this second look exploring session. Yes, second look, take one, looking at the Spanish Tragedy by Thomas Kyd. It's been a long time since we did our first look exploring session, so we're going to spend 4 sessions going over this play in detail, but at pace. So this session we're going to be doing Act 1 through to Act 3, Scene 7, and Act 3 is very, very long, because it probably incorporates the original Act 3 and Act 4. So yes, we're going to be running this at pace, but not necessarily with full performance strength and not as a full digital performance. This is a dry run for when we're in 2 weeks' time. We will return to this first half. In between this and that second run at it, we will do the second half of the play as well, so that we're going from a position of strength. So yes, continue joining us on this journey as we discover how the Spanish tragedy works at pace. We're not going to be stopping and starting and discussing it. If there's time, we'll have a little discussion at the end, and we see how it all hangs together and goes. Reading today, I say reading, moving more in the general direction of performing today. Revenge, Isabella and Hangman is...
Hello, I'm Valentina. I am an Italian actor and voiceover artist in London.
Reading Hieronimo, and watch number 2 is...
Hello, I'm Sarah Blake. I'm an actor, writer and director living in Germany.
Reading Villupo, Bellimperia, watch number 3 is...
Rachael Nicole, actor in New Jersey.
Reading Alexandro and Pedringano is...
Briony, Sparrow, actor in Lincolnshire.
Reading The Ghost of Andrea and Lorenzo is...
Hi, I'm Eric. I died in a previous play and apparently I'm back.
Yeah, I can't remember who played you in when we did Hieronimo. Hieronimo is available, the previous play, or a version of the play that went before this, is available in various versions on our YouTube channel. Reading The Viceroy, watch number 1, and Messenger is...
Hi, Alan Scott, neither an actor nor an academic, based in Suffolk.
Reading Balthazar and Ambassador is...
Hi, my name's Elizabeth Amisu and I'm an author based in Romford.
Reading General Nobleman number 1 and a page is...
Hello, I'm Helen Good, I'm a historian and I'm in Hull.
Reading Castile, Horatio and Serberine is...
Hello, Dan, actor based in Montpellier, France.
And reading King Nobleman number 2 and a deputy is...
Hi, I'm Lynn. I am currently a teacher, one-time costume designer. I live in the northwestern United States.
And I'm your host, Robert Crighton. I will be, hopefully, doing nothing except enjoying this and noting any textual issues, problems, and logistics that we need to sort out for when we return to this play. So, without further ado, and without any more introduction, we're going to dive into the world of the Spanish tragedy. I will hopefully next only have to speak once Act 3, Scene 7 is complete. Take it away, the ghost of Andrea, and with him, revenge.
When this eternal substance of my soul did live imprisoned in my wanton flesh, each in their function serving others' need, I was a courtier in the Spanish court. My name was Don Andrea. My descent, though not ignoble, yet inferior far to gracious fortunes of my tender youth. For there in prime and pride of all my years, by duteous service and deserving love, in secret I possessed a worthy dame, which hight sweet Bellimperia by name. But in the harvest of my summer joys, death's winter nipped the blossoms of my bliss, forcing divorce twixt my love and me. For in the late conflict with Portugal, my valor drew me into danger's mouth, till life to death made passage through my wounds. When I was slain, my soul descended straight to pass the flowing stream of Acheron, but churlish Charon, only boatman there, said that my rites of burial not performed, I might not sit amongst his passengers. Ere Saul had slept 3 nights in Thetis' lap, and slaked his smoking chariot in her flood, by Don Horatio, our knight marshal's son, my funerals and obsequies were done. Then was the ferryman of hell content to pass me over to the slimy strand that leads to fell Avernus' ugly waves. There, pleasing Cerberus, with honeyed speech I passed the perils of the foremost porch. Not far from hence, amidst 10,000 souls, sat Minos, Aeacus, and Rhadamanth, to whom no longer gan I make approach, to crave a passport for my wandering ghost. But Minos, in graven leaves of lottery, drew forth the manner of my life and death. This knight, quoth he, both lived and died in love, and for his love tried fortune of the wars, and by war's fortune lost both love and life. Why then, said Aeacus, convey him hence to walk with lovers in our fields of love, and spend the course of everlasting time under green myrtle trees and cypress shades. No, no, said Rhadamanth. It were not well with loving souls to place a martialist. He died in war and must to martial fields where wounded Hector lives in lasting pain, and Achilles' myrmidons do scour the plain. Then Minos, mildest censor of the three, made this device to end the difference. Send him, quoth he, to our infernal king, to doom him as best seems his majesty. To this effect, my passport straight was drawn in keeping on my way to Pluto's court. Though through dreadful shades of ever-glooming night, I saw more sights than 1,000 tongues can tell, or pens can write, or mortal hearts can think. 3 ways there were. That on the right-hand side was ready way unto the foresaid fields, where lovers live and bloody martialists, but either sort contained within his bounds. The left-hand path, declining fearfully, was ready downfall to the deepest hell, where bloody furies shakes their whips of steel, and poor Ixion turns an endless wheel, where usurers are choked with melting gold, and wantons are embraced with ugly snakes, and murderers groan with never-killing wounds, and perjured wide scalded in boiling lead, and all foul sins with torments overwhelmed. Twixt these 2 ways, I trod the middle path, which brought me to the fair Elysian green, in midst whereof there stands a stately tower, the walls of brass, the gates of adamant. Here, finding Pluto with his Prosperine, I showed my passport, humbled on my knee, whereat fair Prosperine began to smile, and begged that only she might give my due. Pluto was pleased, and sealed it with a kiss. Forthwith revenge, she rounded thee in thy ear, and bade thee lead me through the gates of horn, where dreams have passage in the silent night. No sooner had she spoke, but we were here, I wot not how, in twinkling of an eye.
Then know, Andrea, that thou art arrived where thou shalt see the author of thy death, Don Balthazar, the Prince of Portugal, deprived of life by Bellimperia. Here sit we down to see the mystery, and serve for chorus in this tragedy.
Now say, Lord General, how fares our camp?
All well, my sovereign liege, except some few that are deceased by fortune of the war.
But what portends thy cheerful countenance, and posting to our presence thus in haste? Speak, man, hath fortune given us the victory?
Victory, my liege, and that with little loss.
Our Portingales will pay us tribute then.
Tribute and wanted homage therewithal.
Then blessed be heaven and guider of the heavens, from whose fair influence such justice flows.
O multum delecte Deo, tibi militat aether, e conjurate servator puritor gentes, secundant, lecti sohor est victoria juris.
Thanks to my loving brother of Castile. But General, unfold in brief discourse your form of battle and your war's success, that, adding all the pleasures of the news unto the height of former happiness, with deeper wage and greater dignity, we may reward thy blissful chivalry.
Where Spain and Portugal do jointly knit, their frontiers leaning on each other's bound, there met our armies in their proud array, both furnished well, both full of hope and fear, both menacing alike with daring shows, both vaunting sundry colours of device, both cheerly sounding trumpets, drums, and fifes. both raising dreadful clamours to the sky that valleys, hills, and rivers made rebound, and heaven itself was frighted with the sound. Our battles both were pitched in squadron form, each corner strongly fenced with wings of shot. But ere we joined and came to push of pike, I brought a squadron of our readiest shot from out our rearward to begin the fight. They brought another wing to encounter us. Meanwhile, our ordnance played on either side, and captains strove to have their valours tried. Don Pedro, their chief horseman's colonel, did with his cornet bravely make attempt to break the order of our battle ranks. But Don Ruggiero, worthy man of war, marched forth against him with our musketeers and stopped the malice of his fell approach. While they maintain hot skirmish to and fro, both battles join and fall to handy blows, their violent shot resembling the ocean rage, when roaring loud and with a swelling tide, it beats upon the rampiers of huge rocks and gapes to swallow neighbour bounding lands. Now, while Bellona rageth here and there, thick storms of bullets ran like winter's hail, and shivered lances dark the troubled air. Pes pedes et cuspide cuspis, arma sonant armis, vir petiturque viro. On every side dropped captains to the ground, and soldiers, some ill-maimed, some slain outright. Here falls a body sundered from his head. There legs and arms lie bleeding on the grass, mingled with weapons and unbowled steeds. That scattering overspread the purple plain. In all this turmoil, 3 long hours and more, the victory to neither part inclined, till Don Andrea with his brave lanciers in their main battle made so great a breach that half dismayed the multitude retired. But Balthazar, the Portingal's young prince, brought rescue and encouraged them to stay. Here hence the fight was eagerly renewed, and in that conflict was Andrea slain. Brave man at arms, but weak to Balthazar. Yet, while the prince, insulting over him, breathed out proud vaunts, sounding to our reproach, friendship and hardy valour joined in one, pricked forth Horatio, our knight marshal's son, to challenge forth that prince in single fight. Not long between these twain the fight endured, but straight the prince was beaten from his horse and forced to yield him prisoner to his foe. When he was taken, all the rest they fled, and our carbines pursued them to the death, till Phoebus, waving to the western deep, our trumpeters were charged to sound retreat.
Thanks, good Lord General, for these good news. And for some argument of more to come, take this and wear it for thy sovereign's sake. But tell me now, hast thou confirmed a peace?
No peace, my liege, but peace conditional, that if with homage tribute be well paid, the fury of your forces will be stayed. And to this peace their Viceroy hath subscribed, and made a solemn vow that during life his tribute shall be truly paid to Spain.
These words, these deeds, become thy person well. But now, Knight Marshal, frolic with thy king, for 'tis thy son that wins the battle's prize.
Long may he live to serve my sovereign liege, and soon decay, unless he serve my liege.
Nor thou nor he shall die without reward. What means the warning of this trumpet sound?
This tells me that your grace's men of war, such as war's fortune has reserved from death, come marching on toward your royal seat to show themselves before your majesty. For so I gave in charge at my depart, whereby by demonstration shall appear that all, except 300 or few more, are safe returned, and by their foes enriched.
A gladsome sight. I long to see them here. Was that the warlike Prince of Portugal, that by our nephew was in triumph led?
It was, my liege, the Prince of Portugal.
But what was he that on the other side held him by the arm as partner of the prize?
That was my son, my gracious sovereign, of whom, though from his tender infancy my loving thoughts did never hope but well, he never pleased his father's eyes till now, nor filled my heart with overcloying joys.
Go, let them march once more about the walls, that, staying them, we may confer and talk with our brave prisoner and his double guard. Hieronimo, it greatly pleaseth us that in our victory thou have a share, by virtue of thy worthy son's exploit. Bring hither the young Prince of Portugal, the rest march on. But ere they be dismissed, we will bestow on every soldier 2 ducats, and on every leader 10, that we may know our largesse welcomes them. Welcome, Don Balthazar, welcome, nephew, and thou, Horatio, thou art welcome too. Young prince, although thy father's hard misdeeds deserve but evil measure at our hands, thou shalt know that Spain is honorable.
The trespass that my father made in peace is now controlled by fortune of the wars, and cards once dealt, it boots not ask why so. His men are slain, a weakening to his realm, his colours seized, a blot unto his name, his son distressed, a corsive to his heart. These punishments may clear his late offence.
Ay, Balthazar, if he observe this truce, our peace will grow the stronger for these wars. Meanwhile, live thou, though not in liberty, yet free from bearing any servile yoke. For in our hearing thy deserts are great, and in our sight thyself art gracious.
And I shall study to deserve this grace.
But tell me, for their holding makes me doubt, to which of these twain art thou prisoner?
To me, my liege.
To me, my sovereign.
This hand took first his courser by the reins.
But first, my lance did put him from his horse.
I seized his weapon and enjoyed it first.
First, I forced him lay his weapons down.
Let go his arm upon our privilege. Say, worthy prince, to whether didst thou yield?
To him in courtesy, to this perforce. He spake me fair, this other gave me strokes. He promised life, this other threatened death. He won my love, this other conquered me. And truth to say, I yield myself to both.
But that I know your grace for just and wise, and might seem partial in this difference, enforced by nature and by law of arms, my tongue should plead for young Horatio's right. He hunted well that was the lion's death, not he that in a garment wore his skin. So hares may pull dead lions by the beard.
Content thee, Marshal, thou shalt have no wrong, and for thy sake thy son shall want no right. Will both abide the censure of my doom?
I crave no better than your grace awards.
Nor I, although I sit beside my right.
Then, by my judgment, thus your strife shall end. You both deserve, and both shall have reward. Nephew, thou tookst his weapon and his weapon and his horse are thy reward. Horatio, thou didst force him first to yield. His ransom, therefore, is thy valor's fee. Appoint the sum, and you shall both agree. But, nephew, thou shalt have the prince in guard, for thine estate best fitteth such a guest. Horatio's house were small for all his train, yet in regard thy substance passeth his. And that just guerdon may befall desert, to him we yield the armor of the prince. How does Balthazar alike of this device?
Right well, my liege, if this proviso were, that Don Horatio bear us company, whom I admire and love for chivalry.
Horatio, leave him not that loves thee so. Let us hence to see our soldiers paid, and feast our prisoner as our friendly guest.
Is our ambassador dispatched for Spain?
2 days, my liege, are past since his depart.
And tribute payment gone along with him?
Ay, my good lord.
Then rest we here a while in our unrest, and feed our sorrows with some inward sighs, for deepest cares break never into tears, but wherefore sit I in a regal throne? What this best is fits a wretch's endless moan, yet this is higher than my fortune's reach, and therefore better than my state deserves. Ay, this earth, image of melancholy, seeks him who fates adjudge to misery. Here let me lie, now I am the lowest. Qui asset in terra non habetant decadat, in me consumptit vires fortuna nocendo, nil superset ut jam possit obset esse magis. Fortune may bereave me of my crown. Here, take it now. Let fortune do her worst. She will not rob me of this sable weed. Oh no, she envies none but of pleasant things. Such is the follow of despiteful chance. Fortune is blind and sees not my deserts. So is she deaf and hears not my laments. And could she hear, yet is she wilful mad, and therefore will not pity my distress. Suppose that she could pity me, what then? What help can be expected at her hands, whose foot is standing on a rolling stone, and mind more mutable than fickle winds? Why wail I then, where's hope of no redress? Oh yes, complaining makes my grief seem less. My late ambition hath distanced my faith. My breach of faith occasioned bloody wars. Those bloody wars have spent my treasure, and with my treasure my people's blood, and with their blood my joy and best beloved, my sweet and only son. Oh, wherefore went I not to war myself? The cause was mine, I might have died for both. My years were mellow, but this young and green. My death were natural, but his was forced.
No doubt, my liege, but still the prince survives.
Survives? Aye, where?
In Spain, a prisoner by mischance of war.
Then they have slain him for his father's fault.
That were a breach to common law of arms.
They reck no laws that mediate revenge.
His ransom's worth will stay from foul revenge.
No, if he lived, the news would soon be here.
Nay, evil news fly faster still than good.
Tell me no more of news, for he is dead.
My sovereign, pardon the author of ill news, and I'll bewray the fortune of thy son.
Speak on, I'll guerdon thee, whate'er it be. Mine ear is ready to receive ill news. My heart grown hard gainst mischief's battery. Stand up, I say, and tell thy tale at large.
Then hear the truth which these mine eyes have seen. When both the armies were in battle joined, Don Balthazar, amidst the thickest troops, to win renown did wondrous feats of arms. Amongst the rest I saw him hand to hand in single fight with their Lord General, till Alexandro, that here counterfeits under the color of a duteous friend, discharged his pistol at the prince's back, as though he would have slain their general, but therewithal Don Balthazar fell down. And when he fell, then we began to fly. But had he lived, the day had sure been ours.
Oh, wicked forgery! Oh, traitorous miscreant!
Hold thou thy peace. But now, Villupo, say, Where then became the carcass of my son?
I saw them drag it to the Spanish tents.
Aye, aye. My nightly dreams have told me this. Thou false, unkind, unthankful, traitorous beast, wherein had Balthazar offended thee, that thou shouldst thus betray him to our foes? Was Spanish gold that bleared so thine eyes, that thou couldst see no part of our deserts? Perchance, because thou art Terrera's lord, thou hadst some hope to wear this diadem? At first my son, and then myself were slain, but thy ambition's thought shall break thy neck. Aye, this it was that made thee spill his blood. But now I'll wear it till thy blood be spilt.
Vouchsafe, dread sovereign, to hear me speak.
Away with him! His sight is second hell. Keep him till we determine of his death. If Balthazar be dead, he shall not live. Villupo, follow us for thy reward.
Thus have I with an envious forged tale deceived the king, betrayed mine enemy, and hope for a guerdon of my villainy. Signor Horatio, this is the place and hour wherein I must entreat thee to relate the circumstance of Don Andrea's death, who, living, was my garland's sweetest flower, and in his death hath buried my delights.
For love of him and service to yourself, I nil refuse this heavy, doleful charge. Yet, tears and sighs I fear will hinder me. When both our armies were enjoined in fight, your worthy chevalier amidst the thickest, for glorious cause still aiming at the fairest, was at the last by young Don Balthazar encountered hand to hand. Their fight was long, their hearts were great, their clamors menacing, their strength alike, their strokes both dangerous. But wrathful Nemesis, that wicked power, envying at Andrea's praise and worth, cut short his life to end his praise and worth. She herself, disguised in armor's mask as Pallas was before proud Pergamus, brought in a fresh supply of halberdiers, which paunched his horse and dinged him to the ground. Then young Don Balthazar, with ruthless rage, taking advantage of his foe's distress, did finish what his halberdiers begun, and left not till Andrea's life was done. Then, though too late, incensed with just remorse, I with my band set forth against the prince and brought him prisoner from his halberdiers.
Would thou hadst slain him that slew my love, but then was Don Andrea's carcass lost.
No, that was it for which I chiefly strove, nor stepped I back till I recovered him. I took him up and wound him in my arms, and wielding him unto my private tent, there laid him down and dewed him with my tears, and sighed and sorrowed as become a friend. But neither friendly sorrow, sighs, nor tears could win pale death from his usurped right. Yet this I did, and less I could not do. I saw him honored with due funeral. This scarf I plucked from off his lifeless arm, and wear it in remembrance of my friend.
I know the scarf. Would he had kept it still, for had he lived, he would have kept it still and worn it for Bellemperia's sake. For 'twas my favor at his last depart, but now wear thou it both for him and me, for after him thou hadst deserved it best. But for thy kindness in his life and death, be sure, while Bellemperia's life endures, she will be Don Horatio's thankful friend.
And, madam, Don Horatio will not slack, humbly to serve fair Bellimperia. But now if your good liking stand there too, I'll crave your pardon to go seek the prince, for so the Duke your father gave me charge.
Aye, go, Horatio. Leave me here alone, for solitude best fits my cheerless mood. Yet what avails to wail Andrea's death? From whence Horatio proves my second love. Had he not loved Andrea as he did, he could not sit in Bellimperia's thoughts. But how can love find harbor in my breast till I revenge the death of my beloved? Yes, second love shall further my revenge. I'll love Horatio, my Andrea's friend, the more to spite the prince that wrought his end, and where Don Balthazar that slew my love himself now pleads for favor at my hands, he shall in rigor of my just disdain reap long repentance for his murderous deed. For what was else but murderous cowardice, so many to oppress one valiant knight, without respect of honor in the fight? And here he comes that murdered my delight.
Sister, what means this melancholy walk?
That for a while I wish no company.
But here is the prince come to visit you.
That argues that he lives in liberty.
No, madam, but in pleasing servitude.
Your prison, then, belike, is your conceit.
Aye, by conceit my freedom is enthralled.
Then with conceit enlarge yourself again.
What, if conceit have laid my heart to gauge?
Pay that you borrowed and recover it.
I die, if it return from whence it lies.
Heartless man, and live. Miracle.
Aye, lady, love can work such miracles.
Tush, tush, my lord, let go of these ambages and in plain terms acquaint her with your love.
What boots complaint when there's no remedy?
Yes, to your gracious self must I complain, in whose fair answer lies my remedy, on whose perfection all my thoughts attend, on whose aspect mine eyes find beauty's bower, in whose translucent breast my heart is lodged.
Alas, my lord, these are but words of course, and but devised to drive me from this place.
Madam, your glove.
Thanks, good Horatio. Take it for thy pains.
Signor Horatio stooped in happy time.
I reaped more grace than I deserved or hoped.
My lord, be not dismayed for what is past. You know that women oft are humorous. These clouds will overblow with little wind. Let me alone, I'll scatter them myself. Meanwhile, let us devise to spend the time in some delightful sports and revelling.
The king, my lords, is coining hither straight to feast the Portugal ambassador. Things were in readiness before I came.
Then here it fits us to attend the king, to welcome hither our ambassador, and learn my father and my country's health.
See, Lord Ambassador, how Spain entreats their prisoner Balthazar, thy Viceroy's son. We pleasure more in kindness than in wars.
Sad is our king, and Portugal laments, supposing that Don Balthazar is slain. So am I, slain by beauty's tyranny. You see, my lord, how Balthazar is slain. I frolic with the Duke of Castile's son, wrapped every hour in pleasures of the court, and graced with favours of his majesty.
Put off your greetings till our feast is done. Now, come and sit with us and taste our cheer. Sit down, young prince. You are our second guest. Brother, sit down, and nephew, take your place. Signor Horatio, wait upon your cup. For well them hast deserved to be honoured. Now, lordings, fall to. Spain is Portugal, and Portugal is Spain. We both are friends. Tribute is paid, and we enjoy our right. Where is old Hieronimo, our marshal? He promised us, in honor of our guest, to grace our banquet with some pompous jest. Hieronimo, this mask contents mine eye, although I sound not well the mystery.
The first armoured knight that hung his scutcheon up was English Robert, Earl of Gloucester, who, when the King Stephen bore his sway in Albion, arrived with 25,000 men in Portingal, and by success of war enforced the King, then but a Saracen, to bear the yoke of the English monarchy.
My lord of Portingal, by this you see that which may comfort both your king and you, and make your late discomfort seem the less. Let's say, Hieronimo, what was next?
The second knight that hung his scutcheon up was Edmund, Earl of Kent in Albion, when English Richard wore the diadem. He came likewise and razed Lisbon's walls, and took the King of Portingal in fight, for which and other such like service done, he after was created Duke of York.
This is another argument that Portingal may deign to bear our yoke, but when it by little England had been yoked. But now, Hieronimo, what were the last?
The third and last, not least in our account, was, as the rest, a valiant Englishman, brave John of Gaunt, the Duke of Lancaster, as by his scutcheons plainly may appear. He, with a puissant army, came to Spain and took our King of Castile prisoner.
This is an argument for our Viceroy, that Spain may not insult for her success, since English warriors likewise conquered Spain and made them bow their knees to Albion.
Hieronimo, I drink to thee for this device, which hath pleased both the ambassador and me. Pledge me, Hieronimo, if thou love thy king. My lord, I fear we sit but overlong, unless our dainties were more delicate. But welcome are you, to the best we have. Now let us in, that you may be dispatched. I think our council is already set.
Come we for this from depth of underground, to see him feast that gave me my death's wound? These pleasant sights are sorrow to my soul, nothing but league and love and banqueting.
Be still, Andrea. Ere we go from hence, I'll turn their friendship into fell despite, their love to mortal hate, their day to night, their hope into despair, their peace to war, their joys to pain, their bliss to misery.
My lord, though Bellimperia seem thus coy, let reason hold you in your wonted joy. In time the savage bull sustains the yoke, in time all haggard hawks will stoop to lure, in time small wedges cleave the hardest oak, in time the flint is pierced with softest shower, and she in time will fall from her disdain, and rue the sufferance of your friendly pain.
No, she is wilder and more hard withal than beast or bird or tree or stony wall. But wherefore blot I Bellimperia's name? It is my fault, not she, that merits blame. My feature is not to content her sight. My words are rude, and work her no delight. The lines I send her are but harsh and ill, such as do drop from Pan and Marcius' quill. My presents are not of sufficient cost, and being worthless, all my labours lost. Yet might she love me for my valiancy? Aye, but that's slandered by captivity. Yet might she love me to content her sire? Aye, but her reason masters his desire. Yet might she love me as her brother's friend? Aye, but her hopes aim at some other end. Yet might she love me to uprear her state? Aye, but perhaps she hopes some nobler mate. Yet might she love me as her beauty's thrall? Aye, but I fear she cannot love at all.
My lord, for my sake, leave this ecstasy, and doubt not, but we'll find some remedy. Some cause there is that lets you not be loved, first that must needs be known, and then removed. What if my sister loves some other knight?
My summer's day will turn to winter's night.
I have already found a stratagem to sound the bottom of this doubtful theme. My lord, for once you shall be ruled by me. Hinder me not from whate'er you hear or see, for by force or fair means will I cast about to find the truth of all this question out. Ho, Pedringano!
Signor,
Vien qui presto.
hath your lordship any service to command me?
I, Pedringano, the service of import, and not to spend the time in trifling words, thus stands the case. It is not long, thou knowest, since I did shield thee from my father's wrath, for thy conveyance in Andrea's love, for which thou were adjudged to punishment. I stood betwixt thee and thy punishment, and since thou knowest how I have favored thee, now to these favors will I add reward, not with fair words, but store of golden coin and lands and living joined with dignities, if thou but satisfy my just demand. Tell truth and have me for thy lasting friend.
Whate'er it be your lordship shall demand, my bounden duty bids me tell the truth, if case it lie in me to tell the truth.
Then, Pedringano, this is my demand. Whom loves my sister Bellimperia? For she reposeth all her trust in thee. Speak, man, and gain both friendship and reward. I mean, who loves she in Andrea's place?
Alas, my lord, since Don Andrea's death, I have no credit with her as before, and therefore know not if she love or no.
Nay, if thou dally, I am thy foe. And fear force what friendship cannot win. Thy death shall bury what thy life conceals. Thou diest for more esteeming her than me.
Oh, stay, my lord.
Yet speak the truth, and will I guerdon thee, and shield thee from whatever can ensue, and will conceal whate'er proceeds from thee. But if thou dally once again, thou diest.
If Madame Bellimperia be in love...
What villain ifs and ands?
Oh, stay, my lord, she loves Horatio.
What? Don Horatio, our knight marshal's son.
Even him, my lord.
Now say, but how knowest that he is her love, and thou shalt find me kind and liberal? Stand up, I say, and fearless tell the truth.
She sent him letters which myself perused, full fraught with lines and arguments of love, preferring him before Prince Balthazar.
Swear on this cross that what thou sayest is true, and that thou wilt conceal what thou hast told.
I swear to both, by him that made us all.
In hope thine oath is true, here's thy reward. But if I prove thee perjured and unjust, this very sword, whereupon thou tookst thine oath, shall be the worker of thy tragedy.
What I have said is true, and shall, for me, be still concealed from Bellimperia. Besides, your honour's liberality deserves my duteous service, even till death.
Let this be all that thou shalt do for me. Be watchful when and where these lovers meet, and give me notice in some secret sword.
I will, my lord.
Then thou shalt find that I am liberal. Thou knowest I can more than advance thy state than she. Be therefore wise, and fail me not. Go and attend her as thy custom is, lest absence make her think that thou dost amiss. Why so, tam armis quam ingenio, where words prevail not, violence prevails, but gold doth more than either of them both. How likes Prince Balthazar this stratagem?
Both well and ill. It makes me glad and sad. Glad that I know the hinderer of my love. Sad that I fear she hates me whom I love. Glad that I know on whom to be revenged. Sad that she'll fly me if I take revenge. Yet must I take revenge or die myself, for love resisted grows impatient. I think Horatio be my destined plague. First in his hand he brandished a sword, and with that sword he fiercely waged war. And in that war he gave me dangerous wounds, And by those wounds he forced me to yield. And by my yielding I became his slave. Now in his mouth he carries pleasing words, which pleasing words do harbour sweet conceits, which sweet conceits are limed with sly deceits, which sly deceits smooth Bellimperia's ears, and through her ears dive down into her heart, and in her heart set him where I should stand. Thus hath he taken my body by his force, and now by sleight would captivate my soul. But in his fall I'll tempt the destinies, and either lose my life or win my love.
Let's go, my lord, your staying stays revenge. Do you but follow me and gain your love. Her favour must be won by his remove.
Now, madam, since by favour of your love, our hidden smoke is turned to open flame, and that with looks and words we feed our thought, two chief contents which more cannot be had. Thus, in the midst of love's fair blandishments, why show you signs of inward languishments?
My heart, sweet friend, is like a ship at sea. She wisheth port where, riding all at ease, she may repair what stormy times have worn, and leaning on the shore, may sing with joy that pleasure follows pain and bliss annoy. Possession of thy love is the only port, wherein my heart with fears and hopes long tossed, each hour doth wish and long to make resort, there to repair the joys that it hath lost, and sitting safe to sing in Cupid's choir, that sweetest bliss is crown of love's desire.
O sleep, mine eyes, see not my love profaned. Be deaf, my ears, bear not my discontent. Die, heart, another joy is what thou deservest.
Watch still mine eyes to see this love disjoined. Hear still mine ears to hear them both lament. Live heart to joy at fond Horatio's fall.
Why stands Horatio speechless all this while?
The less I speak, the more I meditate.
But whereon dost thou chiefly meditate?
On dangers past and pleasures to ensue.
On pleasures past and dangers to ensue.
What dangers and what pleasures dost thou mean?
Dangers of war and pleasures of our love.
Dangers of death, but pleasures none at all.
Dangers go, thy war shall be with me, but such a war as breaks no bond of peace. Speak thou fair words, I'll cross them with fair words. Send thou sweet looks, I'll meet them with sweet looks. Write loving lines, I'll answer loving lines. Give me a kiss, I'll countercheck thy kiss. Be this our warring peace or peaceful war.
O gracious madam, then appoint the field where trial of this war shall first be made.
Ambitious villain, how his boldness grows.
Then be thy father's pleasant bower the field, where first we vowed a mutual amity. The court were dangerous, that place is safe. 1 hour shall be, when vesper begins to rise, that summons home distressful travelers. There none shall hear us but the harmless birds. Haply the gentle nightingale shall carol us asleep ere we beware, and singing with that prickle at her breast, tell our delight and mirthful dalliance. Till then each hour will seem a year and more.
But, honey sweet and honorable love, return we now unto your father's sight. Dangerous suspicion waits on our delight.
I mixed danger mixed with jealous despite shall send thy soul into eternal night.
Brother of Castile, to the prince's love, what says your daughter, Bellimperia?
Although she coy it as being her kind, and yet dissemble that she loves the prince, I doubt not I, but she will stoop in time, And were she froward, which she will not be, yet herein shall she follow my advice, which is to love him, or forego my love.
Then, Lord Ambassador of Portingale, advise thy king to make this marriage up for strengthening of our late confirmed league. I know no better means to make us friends. Her dowry shall be large and liberal. Besides that, she is daughter and half heir unto our brother here, Don Cyprian, and shall enjoy the moiety of his land. I'll grace her marriage with an uncle's gift. And this it is, in case the match go forward, the tribute which you pay shall be released. And if by Balthazar she have a son, he shall enjoy the kingdom after us.
I'll make the motion to my sovereign liege, and work it if my counsel may prevail.
Do so, my lord, and if he give consent, I hope his presence here will honor us in celebration of the nuptial day, and let himself determine of the time.
Will it please your grace command me aught beside?
Commend me to the king, and so farewell. And where is Prince Balthazar to take his leave?
That is performed already, my good lord.
Amongst the rest of what you have in charge, the prince's ransom must not be forgot. That's none of mine, but his that took him prisoner, and well, his forwardness deserves reward. It was Horatio, our knight marshal's son.
Between us there's a price already pitched, and shall be sent with all convenient speed.
Then once again, farewell, my lord.
Farewell, my lord of Castile, and the rest.
Now, brother, you must take some little pains to win fair Bellimperia from her will. Young virgins must be ruled by their friends. The prince is amiable and loves her well. If she neglect him and forego his love, she both will wrong her own estate and ours. Therefore, whiles I do entertain the prince with greatest pleasure that our court affords, endeavor you to win your daughter's thought. If she give back, all this will come to naught.
Now that the night begins with sable wings to overcloud the brightness of the sun, and that in darkness pleasures may be done. Come, Bellimperia, let us to the bower, and there in safety pass a pleasant hour.
I follow thee, my love, and will not back, although my fainting heart controls my soul.
Why make you doubt of Pedringano's faith?
No, he is as trusty as my second self. Go, Pedringano. Watch without the gate, and let us know if any make approach.
Instead of watching, I'll deserve more gold by fetching Don Lorenzo to this match.
What means my love?
I know not what myself, and yet my heart foretells me some mischance.
Sweet, say not so. Fair fortune is our friend, and heavens have shut up day to pleasure us. The stars thou seest hold back their twinkling shine, and Luna hides itself to pleasure us.
Thou hast prevailed. I'll conquer my misdoubt, and in thy love counsel drown my fear. I fear no more. Love now is all my thoughts. Why sit we not? For pleasure asketh ease.
The more thou sitst with these leafy bowers, the more will Flora deck it with her flowers.
Aye, but if Flora spy Horatio here, her jealous eye will think I sit too near.
Hark, madam, how the birds record by night, for joy that Bellimperia sits in sight.
No, Cupid counterfeits the nightingale to frame sweet music to Horatio's tale.
Ah, if Cupid sing, then Venus is not far. I thou art Venus or some fairer star.
If I be Venus, thou must needs be Mars. And where Mars reigneth, there must needs be wars.
Then, thus begins our wars. Put forth thy hand, that it may combat with my ruder hand.
Set forth thy foot to try the push of mine.
But first, my looks shall combat against thine.
Then ward thyself. I dart this kiss at thee.
Thus I retort the dart thou threwest at me.
Hey, then to gain the glory of the field, my twinning arms shall yoke and make thee yield.
Nay, Then my arms are large and strong withal. Thus elms by vines are compassed till they fall.
Oh, let me go, for in my troubled eyes now mayst thou read that life and passion dies.
Oh, stay a while, and I will die with thee. So shalt thou yield and yet have conquered me.
Who's there? Pedringano! We are betrayed.
My lord, away with her. Take her aside. Oh, sir, forbear. Your valor is already tried. Quickly dispatch my masters.
Oh! What? Will you murder me?
I thus and thus. These are the fruits of love.
Save his life and let me die for him. Oh, save him, brother, save him, Balthazar. I loved Horatio, but he loved me not.
Balthazar loves Bellimperia.
Although his life were still ambitious, proud, yet is he at the highest now he's dead.
Murder, murder, help, Hieronimo, help.
Come, stop her mouth, away with her.
What outcries pluck me from my naked bed, and chill my throbbing heart with trembling fear, which never danger yet could daunt before? Who calls Hieronimo? Speak! Here I am! I did not slumber, therefore 'twas no dream. No, it was some woman's cried for help, and here within this garden did she cry. And in this garden I must rescue her. But stay, what murderous spectacle is this? A man hanged up and all the murders gone, and in my bower to lay the guilt on me. This place was made for pleasure, not for death. Those garments that he wears I oft have seen. Alas, 'tis Horatio, my sweet son. Oh no, but he that whilom was my son. Oh, was it thou that callest me from my bed? Oh, speak, if any spark of life remain. I am my father. Oh, who has slain my son? Oh, savage monster, not of humankind, hath here been glutted with thy harmless blood, and left thy bloody corpse dishonoured here. For me, amidst these dark and deathful shades, to drown thee with an ocean of my tears. Oh, heavens! I made you night to cover sin. By day this deed of darkness had not been. O earth, why did thou not in time devour the vile profaner of this sacred bower? Oh, poor Horatio, what hast thou misdone to lease their life? Their life was new begun. Oh, wicked butcher! Whatsoe'er thou wert, how could thou strangle virtue and desert? I, me, most wretched, that have lost my joy, in losing my Horatio, my sweet boy.
Oh, my husband's absence makes my heart to throb. Hieronimo?
Here, Isabella, help me to lament. The sighs are stopped, and all my tears are spent.
What world of grief! My son Horatio! Oh, where's the author of this endless woe?
To know the author were some ease of grief, for in revenge my heart would find relief.
Then is he gone? And is my son gone too? Oh, gush out tears, fountains and floods of tears. Blow sighs and raise an everlasting storm, for outrage fits our cursed wretchedness.
Oh, sweet, lovely rose, ill-plucked before thy time. Fair worthy son, not conquered but betrayed, I'll kiss thee now. For words with tears are stayed.
I'll close up the glasses of his sight. For once these eyes were only my delight.
See thou this hanker besmeared with blood. It shall not from me till I take revenge. See thou those wounds that yet are bleeding fresh. I'll not into them till I have revenge. Then will I joy amidst my discontent. Till then my sorrow never shall be spent.
The heavens are just. Murder cannot be hid. Time is the author both of truth and right, and time will bring this treachery to light.
Meanwhile, good Isabella, cease thy plaints, or, at the least, dissemble them a while. So shall we sooner find the practice out, and learn by whom all this was brought about. Come, Isabel, let us take him up, and bear him from out this cursed place. I'll say his dirge. Singing fits not this case. O aliquis mihi quas pulchrum ver educat herbas, misceat, et nostro dato medicina dolori, aut, sici faciant honorum oblivia, succus plebeat. Ipse matum magnum, quacunque per orbum, claminus pulchras effet in luminis horas, ipse bibam quicquid mediator saga veneni, quicquid et ebarum viceca neniac necit, omnia perpetua letum quoque dum semel omnis, noster in extincto moriatur peccatoris sensus, ergo tuus oculus nonquam mea vita videbo, et tua perpetus sepelivit lumnia somnus? Emulia tecum. Sic juvadire sub umbras. Et tamen absistam properato cedere leto, ne mortem vindicta, tuam ton nulla sequita.
Broughtest thou me hither to increase my pain? I looked that Balthazar should have been slain, but 'tis my friend Horatio that is slain, and they abuse fair Bellimperia, on whom I doted more than all the world, because she loved me more than all the world.
Thou talk'st of harvest when the corn is green. The end is crown of every work well done. The sickle comes not till the corn be ripe. Be still, and ere I lead thee from this place, I'll show thee Balthazar in heavy case.
Infortunate condition of kings, seated amid so many helpless doubts. First we're placed upon extremest height, and oft supplanted with exceeding hate, but ever subject to the wheel of chance, and at our highest never joy we sow, as we both doubt and dread our overthrow. So striveth not the waves with sundry winds, as fortune toileth in the affairs of kings, that would be feared, yet fear to be beloved. For says fear or love to kings is flattery. For instance, lordings, look upon your king, by hate deprived of his dearest son, the only hope of our successive line.
I had not thought that Alexandro's heart had been envenomed with such extreme hate. But now I see that words have several works, and there is no credit in the countenance.
No, for my lord, had you beheld the train that feigned love had colored in his looks, when he in camp consorted Balthazar, far more inconstant had you thought the sun that hourly coasts the center of the earth than Alexandro's purpose to the prince.
No more, Villupo, thou hast said enough. With thy words thou slayest our wounded thoughts, nor shall I longer dally with the world, procrastinating Alexandro's death. Go, some of you, and fetch the traitor forth, that, as he is condemned, he may die.
In such extremes will not but patience serve.
But in extremes what patience shall I use? Nor discontents it me to leave the world with whom there nothing can prevail but wrong.
Yet hope the best.
'Tis heaven is my hope, as for the earth is too much infect to yield me hope of any of her mould.
Why linger ye? Bring forth that daring fiend, and let him die for his accursed deed.
Not that I fear the extremity of death, for nobles cannot stoop to servile fear. Do I, O king, thus discontented live? But this, oh this, torments my labouring soul, that thus I die suspected of a sin, whereof, as heavens have known my secret thoughts, so am I free from this suggestion.
No more, I say, to the tortures. When? Bind him, and burn his body in those flames. That shall prefigure those unquenched fires, a phlegeton prepared for his soul.
My guiltless death will be avenged on thee, Villupo, that hath maliced thus, or for thy meed hast falsely me accused.
Nay, Alexandro, if thou menace me, I'll lend a hand to send thee to the lake, where those thy words shall perish with thy works. Injurious traitor, monstrous homicide.
Stay, hold a while, and here, with pardon of his majesty, lay hands upon Villupo.
Ambassador, what news hath urged this sudden entrance?
Know, sovereign lord, that Balthazar doth live.
What sayest thou? Liveth Balthazar our son?
Your highness' son, Lord Balthazar, doth live, and well entreated in the court of Spain, humbly commends him to your majesty. These eyes beheld, and these my followers, with these the letters of the king's commends, are happy witnesses of his highness' health.
Thy son doth live, your tribute is received, thy peace is made, and we are satisfied. The rest resolve upon as things proposed, for both our honours and thy benefit.
These are his highness' father articles.
Cursed wretch, to intimate these ills against the life and reputation of noble Alexandro. Come, my lord, unbind him. Let him unbind thee that is bound to death, to make acquittal for thy discontent.
Dread lord, in kindness you could do no less, upon report of such a damned fact. But thus we see our innocence hath saved the hopeless life which thou, Villupo, sought by thy suggestions to have massacred.
Say, false Villupo, wherefore didst thou thus falsely betray Lord Alexandro's life? Him who thou knowest that no unkindness else, but even the slaughter of our dearest son, could once have moved us to have misconceived?
Say, treacherous Villupo, tell the king, wherein hath Alexandro used thee ill?
Rent with remembrance of so foul a deed, my guilty soul submits me to thy doom. For Alexandro's injuries, but for reward and hope to be preferred. Thus have I shamelessly hazarded his life.
Which villain shall be ransomed with thy death, and not so mean a torment as we here devised for him, who, thou saidst, slew our son, but with the bitterest torments and extremes that may be yet invented for thine end. Entreat me not. Go, take the traitor hence. And Alexandro, let us honour thee with public notice of thy loyalty, to end those things articulated here by our great lord, the mighty king of Spain. We with our council will deliberate. Come, Alexandro, keep us company.
Oh, eyes. No eyes, but fountains fraught with tears. No life but lively form of death. Oh, world. No world, but mass of public wrongs, confused and filled with murder and misdeeds. Oh, sacred heavens! If this unhallowed deed, if this inhuman and barbarous attempt, if this incomparable murder thus of mine, but now no more, my son, shall unrevealed and unrevenged past, how should we term your dealings to be just, if you unjustly deal with those that in your justice trust? The night, sad secretary to my moans, with direful visions wakes my vexed soul, and with the wounds of my distressful son solicit me for to notice of his death the ugly fiends do sally forth of hell, and frame my steps to unfrequented paths, and fear my heart with fierce inflamed thoughts. The cloudy day my discontents records early begins to register my dreams and drive me forth to seek the murderer. Eyes, life, world, heavens, hell, night and day, see, search, show, send some man, some mean that may... What's here? A letter? Gosh, 'tis not so. A letter written to Hieronimo. For want of ink, receive this bloody writ. Me hapless, my hapless brother hid from thee, revenge thyself on Balthazar and him, but those they were that murdered thy son. Hieronimo, revenge Horatio's death, and better fare than Bellimperia doth. What means this unexpected miracle? My son slain by Lorenzo and the prince? What cause had they, Horatio, to malign? Or what might move thee, Bellimperia, to accuse thy brother, had he been the mean? Hieronimo, beware, thou art betrayed. And to entrap thy life, this train is laid. Advise thee, therefore, be not credulous. This is devised to endanger thee, that thou by this Lorenzo should accuse, and he, for thy dishonour done, should draw thy life in question and thy name in hate. There is the life of my beloved son, and of his death behoves me be revenged. Then hazard not thine own, Hieronimo, but live to effect thy resolution. I therefore will by circumstances try what I can gather to confirm this writ, and, hearkening near the Duke of Castile's house, close if I can with Bellimperia, to listen more, but nothing to bewray. Now, Pedringano. Pedringano!
Now, Hieronimo.
Where's thy lady?
I know not. Here's my lord.
How now? Who's this? Hieronimo?
My lord.
He asketh for my lady Bellimperia.
What to do, Hieronimo? The duke my father hath, upon some disgrace, while removed her hence. But if it be aught I may inform her of, tell me, Hieronimo, and I'll let her know it.
Nay, nay, my lord, I thank you, it shall not need. I had a suit unto her, but too late, and her disgrace makes me unfortunate.
Why so, Hieronimo? Use me.
Oh, no, my lord, I dare not. It must not be. I humbly thank your lordship.
Why then, farewell.
My grief no heart, my thoughts no tongue can tell.
Come hither, Pedringano. Seest thou this?
My lord, I see it and suspect it too.
This is that damned villain Serberine that hath, I fear, revealed Horatio's death.
My lord, he could not. 'Twas so lately done, and since he hath not left my company.
Admit he have not. His condition's such as fear or flattering words may make him false. I know his humour, and therewith repent that e'er I used him in this enterprise. But Pedringano, to prevent the worst, and because I know the secret is my soul, here for thy further satisfaction take thou this. And hearken to me. Thus it is devised. This night thou must, and prithee, so resolve, meet Serberine at St. Luigi's Park. Thou knowest 'tis here hard behind the house. Take thy stand, and see thou strike him sure, for die he must, if we do mean to live.
But how shall Serberine be there, my lord?
Let me alone. I'll send to him to meet the prince and me, where thou must do this deed.
It shall be done, my lord, it shall be done, and I'll go arm myself to meet him there.
When things shall alter, as I hope they will, then shalt thou mount for this. Thou knowest my mind. Hieron.
My lord?
Go, sir, at Serberine, and bid him forthwith meet the prince and me at St. Luigi's Park, behind the house. This evening, boy.
I go, my lord.
But, sir, let the hour be 8 o'clock. Bid him not fail.
I fly, my lord.
Now, to confirm the complot thou hast cast of all these practices, I'll spread the watch, upon precise commandment from the king, strongly to guard the place where Pedringano this night shall murder hapless Serberine. Thus must we work that will avoid distrust. Thus must we practice to prevent mishap, and thus one ill must another expulse. This sly inquiry of Hieronimo for Bellimperia breeds suspicion, and this suspicion bodes a further ill. As for myself, I know my secret fault, and so do they, but I have dealt for them, they that for coin their souls endangered to save my life, for coin shall venture theirs. And better it's that base companions die than by their life to hazard our good haps. Nor shall they live for me to fear their faith. I'll trust myself. Myself shall be my friend. For die they shall. Slaves are ordained to no other end.
Now, Pedringano, bid thy pistol hold, and hold on fortune. Once more favour me. Give but success to mine attempting spirit, and let me shift the taking of mine aim. Here is the gold, this is the gold proposed. It is no dream that I adventure for, but Pedringano is possessed thereof, and he that would not strain his conscience, for him that thus his liberal purse hath stretched, unworthy such a favour, may he fail, and wishing, want, when such as I prevail. As for the fear of apprehension, I know, if need should be, my noble lord will stand between me and ensuing harms. Besides, this place is free from all suspect. Here, therefore, will I stay and take my stand.
I wonder much to what intent it is that we are thus expressly charged to watch.
'Tis by commandment in the king's own name.
But we were never wont to watch and ward so near the Duke, his brother's house before.
Content yourself. Stand close. There's someone in it.
Here, Serberine, attend, and stay thy pace. For here did Don Lorenzo's page appoint, that thou by his command shouldst meet with him. How fit a place, if one was so disposed? Methinks this corner is too close with one.
Here comes the bird that I must seize upon. Now, Pedringano, or never, play the man.
I wonder that his lordship stays so long, or wherefore should he send for me so late?
For this, Serberine, and thou shalt hat. So there he lies, my promise is performed.
Hark, gentlemen, this is a pistol shot.
And here's one slain. Stay! The murderer!
Now by the sorrows of the souls in hell. Who first lays hand on me, I'll be his priest.
Sirrah, confess and therein play the priest why thou thus unkindly killed the man.
Why? Because he walked abroad so late.
Come, sir, you had been better kept your bed than have committed this misdeed so late.
Come to the marshals with the murderer.
On to Hieronimo's. Help me here, to bring the murdered body with us too.
Hieronimo, carry me before whom you will, whatever he be, I'll answer him and you, and do your worst, for I defy you all.
How now, my lord? What makes you rise so soon?
Fear of preventing our mishaps too late.
What mischief is it that we not mistrust?
Our greatest ills we least mistrust, my lord, and unexpected harms do harm us most.
Why, tell me, Don Lorenzo, tell me, man, if aught concerns your honour and your own, our honour and your own.
Nor you nor me, my lord, but both in one, for I suspect, and the presumption's great, that those base confederates in our fault touching the death of Don Horatio, we are betrayed to old Hieronimo.
Betrayed, Lorenzo? Tush, it cannot be.
A guilty conscience, urged with the thought of former evils, easily cannot err, I'm persuaded, and dissuade me not, that all's revealed to Hieronimo, and therefore know that I have cast it thus. But here's the page. How now? What news with thee?
My lord, Serberine is slain.
Who? Serberine, my man.
Your Highness' man, my lord.
Speak, page, who murdered him?
He that is apprehended for the fact.
Who?
Pedringano.
Is Serberine slain, that loved his lord so well? Injurious villain, murderer of his friend.
Hath Pedringano murdered Serberine? My lord, let me entreat you to take the pains to exasperate and hasten his revenge with your complaints unto my lord the king. This their dissension breeds a greater doubt.
Assure thee, Don Lorenzo, he shall die, or else his highness hardly shall deny. Meanwhile, I'll haste the martial sessions, or die he shall for this his damned deed.
Why so? This fits our former policy. And thus experience bids the wise to deal. I lay the plot, he prosecutes the point. I set the trap, he breaks the worthless twigs, and sees not that wherewith the bird was limed. Us hopeful men that mean to hold their own must look like fowlers to their dearest friends. He runs to kill whom I have hoped to catch, and no man knows it was my reaching fetch. 'Tis hard to trust unto a multitude, or anyone, in mine opinion, when men themselves their secrets will reveal. Boy.
My lord?
What's he?
I have a letter to your lordship.
From whence?
From Pedringano, that's imprisoned.
So he is in prison then?
Aye, my good lord.
What would he with us? He writes us here to stand, good lord, and help him in distress. Tell him I have his letters, know his mind, and what we may let him assure him of. Fellow, begone. My boy shall follow thee. This works like wax. Yet once more try thy wits. Boy, go convey this purse to Pedringano. Thou knowest the prison, closely give it him, and be advised that none be thereabout. Bid him be merry still, but secret. And though the martial sessions be today, bid him not doubt of his delivery. Tell him his pardon is already signed, and thereon bid him boldly be resolved. For were he ready to be turned off, as 'tis my will the uttermost be tried, thou with his pardon shalt it attend him still. Show him this box, but tell him his pardon's in it, but open it not, and if thou lovest thy life, but let him wisely keep his hopes unknown. He shall not want while Don Lorenzo lives. Away!
I go, my lord. I run.
But, sirrah, see that this be cleanly done. Now stands our fortune on a tickle point, and now or never ends Lorenzo's doubt. One only thing is unaffected yet, and that's to see the executioner. But to what end? I list not trust the air with utterance of our pretence therein, for fear the privy whispering of the wind convey our words amongst unfriendly ears that lie too open to advantages. E quel che voglio io nessun lo sa, intendo io quel mi basterà.
My master hath forbid me to look in this box, and by my troth 'tis likely, if he had not warned me, I should not have had so much idle time. For we men's kind in our minority are like women in their uncertainty, and they are most forbidden they will soonest attempt. So I now. By my bare honesty, here's nothing but the empty, bare box. Were it not a sin against secrecy, I would say it were a piece of gentlemanlike knavery. I must go to Pedringano and tell him his pardon is in this box. Nay, I would have sworn it had I not seen the contrary. I cannot choose but smile to think how the villain will flout the gallows, scorn the audience, and descant on the hangman, and all presuming of his pardon from hence. Will't not be an odd jest for me to stand and grace every jest he makes, pointing my finger at this box as who would say, mock on, here's the warrant. Is it not a scurvy jest that a man should jest himself to death? Alas, poor Pedringano, I am in a sort sorry for thee, but if I should be hanged with thee, I cannot weep.
Thus must we toil in other men's extremes that know not how to remedy our own, and do them justice, when unjustly we, for all our wrongs, can compass no redress. But shall I never live to see the day that I may come, by justice of the heavens, to know the cause that may my cares allay? This toils my body, this consumeth age, but only I to all men just must be, and neither gods nor men be just to me.
Worthy Hieronimo, your office asks the care to punish such as do transgress.
So is my duty to regard his death, who, when he lived, deserved my dearest blood. But come, for that we came for, let's begin. For here lies that which bids me to be gone.
Bring forth the prisoner, for the court is set.
Gramercy, boy. But it was time to come, for I had written to my lord anew a nearer matter that concerneth him, for fear his lordship had forgotten me. But sith he hath remembered me so well, come on, when shall we to this gear?
Stand forth, thou monster, murderer of men, and here, for satisfaction of the world, confess thy folly and repent thy fault. But there's thy place of execution.
This is short work. Well, to your marshalship, first I confess, for fear I death therefore, nor fear I death therefore. I am the man. 'Twas I slew Serberine. But, sir, then you think this shall be the place where we shall satisfy you for this gear?
Aye, Pedringano.
Now I think not so.
Peace, impudent, for thou shalt find it so. For blood with blood shall, while I sit as judge, be satisfied, and the law discharged. And though myself cannot receive the like, yet will I see that others have their right. Dispatch. The fault's approved and confessed, and by our law he is condemned to die.
Come, sir, are you ready?
To do what, my fine officious knave?
To go to this gear.
Oh, sir, you are too forward. Thou wouldst fain furnish me with a halter, to disfurnish me of my habit. So I should go out of this gear, my raiment, into that gear the rope. But, hangman, now I spy your knavery. I'll not charge without boot, that's flat.
Come, sir.
So then I must up?
No remedy.
Yes, but there shall be for my coming down.
Indeed, here's coming down for that.
How? Be turned off?
Aye, truly. Come, are you ready? I pray, sir, dispatch the day goes away.
What? Do you hang by the hour? If you do, I may chance to break your old custom.
Faith, you have reason, for I am like to break your young neck.
Dost thou mock me, hangman? Pray God I be not persevered. Sorry, I can't read. Pray God I be not persevered to break your knave's pate for this.
Alas, sir, you are a foot too low to reach it, and I hope you will never grow so high while I am in office.
Sirrah, dost see yonder boy with the box in his hand?
What? He that points to it with his finger?
Aye, that companion.
Oh, I know him not. But what of him?
Dost thou think to live till his old doublet will make thee a new truss?
Aye, and many a fair year after, to truss up many an honester man than either thou or he.
What hath he in his box, as thou thinkest?
Faith, I cannot tell, nor I care not greatly. Methinks you should rather hearken to your soul's health.
Why, sirrah hangman, I take it that that is good for the body, is likewise good for the soul, and it may be in that box is balm for both.
Well, thou art even the merriest piece of men's flesh that e'er groaned at my office door.
Is your roguery become an office with a knave's name?
Aye, and that shall all they witness that see you seal it with a thief's name.
I prithee, request this good company to pray with me.
Aye, marry, sir, this is a good motion. My masters, you see he is a good fellow.
Nay, nay, now I remember me. Let them alone till some other time, for now I have no great need.
I have not seen a wretch so impudent. Oh, monstrous times, where murders set so light, and where the soul that should be shrined in heaven solely delights in indicted things, still wandering in the thorny passages that intercepts itself of happiness. Murder. Oh, bloody murder. God forbid a fault so foul should scape unpunished. Dispatch! And see this execution done. This makes me to remember thee, my son.
Nay, soft, no haste.
Why, wherefore stay you? Have you hope of life?
Why, I.
As how?
Why, rascal, by my pardon from the king.
Stand you on that? Then you shall off with this.
So, executioner, convey him hence, but let his body be unburied. Let not the earth be choked or infect with that which heaven contemns and men neglect.
Shall I run to breathe abroad my woes? My woes, whose weight hath wearied the earth. All mine exclaims that have surcharged the air with ceaseless plaints for my deceased son. The blustering winds, conspiring with my words, and my lament have moved the leafless trees, disrobed the meadows of their flowering green, made mountains marsh with springtide of my tears, and broken through the brazen gates of hell. Yet still tormented is my tortured soul, with broken sighs and restless passions that winged mount, and hovering in the air, beat at the windows of the brightest heavens, soliciting for justice and revenge. They are placed in those imperial heights, where, counterbuild with walls of diamond, I find the place impregnable. And they resist my woes, and give my words no way.
Oh, Lord, sir, God bless you, sir. The man, sir, Petrograde, sir, he that was so full of merry conceit.
Well, what of him?
Oh, Lord, sir, he went the wrong way. The fellow had a fair commission to the contrary, sir. Here is his passport. I pray you, sir, we have done him wrong.
I worried thee. Give it me.
You will stand between the gallows and me?
Aye, aye.
Ah, I thank your lordship.
And yet, though somewhat nearer me concerns, I will, to ease the grief that I sustain, take truce with sorrow while I read on this. My lord, I write, as mine extremes required, that you would labour my delivery. If you neglect, my life is desperate, and in my death I shall reveal the troth. You know, my lord, I slew him for your sake, and was confederate with the prince and you. Won by rewards and hopeful promises, I hope to murder Don Horatio too. Hope he to murder mine Horatio? And actors in the accursed tragedy, was thou, Lorenzo, Balthazar, and thou, of whom my son, deserved so well? What have I heard? What have mine eyes beheld? Oh, secret heavens, may it come to pass that such a monstrous and detested deed, so closely smothered and so long concealed, shall thus by this be venged or revealed. Now see I what I durst not then suspect. The Bellemperia's letter was not feigned, nor feigned she, who falsely they have wronged both her, myself, Horatio, and themselves. Now may I make compare twixt hers and this. Of every accident I ne'er could find till now, and now I feelingly perceive they did what heaven unpunished would not leave. False Lorenzo! Are these thy flattering looks? Is this the honour that them didst my son? And Balthazar, bane to thy soul and me, was this the ransom he reserved thee for? Oh, woe to the cause of these constrained wars! Woe to the baseness and captivity! Woe to thy birth, thy body and thy soul, thy cursed father and thy conquered self! And bound with bitter execrations be the day and place where he did pity thee. Wherefore waste I mine unfruitful words, when naught but blood will satisfy my woes? I will go plainly to my lord the king, and cry aloud for justice through the court, wearing the flints with these my withered feet, and either purchase justice by entreats, or tire them all with my revenging threats.
Yes, and that is where we stop for this session as we dissect a little bit and make some plans for changes that we'll make to some of the casting as we move some things around and tinker before we return to this in 2 weeks' time. Lots of detail suddenly leaping off the page and going, oh, no, that's where this scene needs to be going. This is what's going on here. Yeah, it's that storytelling element at the very beginning. There's an awful lot of information being thrown at the audience. It needs impact and pace and passion as well. I mean, we've just had a battle. I mean, that's the important thing to remember. There's just been this massive battle. One side has won and is being victorious, and the other side, of course, has lost. And when we go to that other side, and you know, and the lies that are then told, you know, so not only have you lost, your son's dead. It's a lie. It's and these reversals that we, you know, our imaginary audience, our digital audience out there, you know, we need to be teasing with. And then the games between characters as well. You know, this love game that's going on between Horatio and Bellimperia. You know, that first scene, there needs to be something already going on there. There's probably something already going on from the previous play. It needs to happen really fast because you don't have much time together. Even if you're fighting the urge to openly woo each other in the very first scene, you have to kind of still be wooing each other in that first scene together. And then also the game that's going going on with the hanging there of, you've got someone who's superiorly confident because they know they're going to get a free pardon, so they can be doing their stand-up routine on the gallows, and the hangman's just standing there going, you should, and then of course just kicks them off the scaffold at the end. It's dark, but it should also probably get a laugh. It's all these games that are going on between characters that next time we can really try and point out and really go for. But yeah, there was some really good stuff there. I'm looking forward to doing more. But also looking at the doubling clearly doesn't work. I've got a few thoughts about some movements around, so that we can swap a few things here and there to make that go. Thoughts about the play and the things that in the play we need to highlight more. We're not here at this stage to sort of talk about each other's performances, but more just about what in the play did we not necessarily get across, or that we feel we need to get across that to make a production work. And just general shape of things. There's a lot to play with. Briony.
I'd definitely appreciate some feedback about how to interpret the stage direction, because I kind of read it and wasn't sure if that was have I just been hanged? What? Because it just says he turns him off.
Yeah, you are. You are hanged. He's pushed you off the edge of the kick the thing from underneath you, or whatever that is. Yes. And there's a few stage directions like that where we've got some interpretation issues. Dan.
Certainly not against seeing all sorts of clever hangings that we can try out here, but we could always not necessarily do a hanging when somebody dies. There's many other ways to die. Only when it's specifically hanging do I think we really need to have some sort of hanging, or at least something that represents a hanging.
Well, I've got to pull together a pistol shot sound effect, so that Valentina, you could always put double tap in the chest and one to finish off. It's that's an option. I have no objection to playing around with form on that. In theory, the earlier execution is supposed to be by burning, but even how we interpret how that works could be played around a bit within the scope of the text. Eric, I think you waved.
I was going to ask about when Horatio is hanged and stabbed. There's some sort of discrepancy there about who's disguised and who isn't. Because it's they enter disguised or something, but then they get recognized. That was a bit unclear.
I think they're all disguised, but in the scuffle either the disguise have slipped, or just the disguises. Just disguising doesn't work. I mean, I know this is an early modern play, and disguising automatically means that no one can recognise you. This is a play where actually the disguises I don't think work. I think that's the thing, is you've just got a kerchief over your face, and it's to stop random other people knowing who you are. And that's why they have to gag and drag away Bellimperia to a degree, because they know who did the murder. Which means it's all gone a bit Pete Tong.
Okay, just for future reference then. Thanks.
Yeah, not very good disguise is what we're looking for there. Helen, are you thinking of waving?
Yeah, I was thinking of waving. I hadn't quite got as far as waving, but my feeling was that we really need to sort out some sort of color coding for, the Portuguese ought to have some sort of Portuguese color. Same for possibly something with both Hieronimo and Horatio ought to have something that ties them together. I think this is a play that needs a lot of colour coding.
I think you're absolutely right that we definitely need a clear Spanish Portuguese court. Because we do flit between those two directions, so that if we decide on definite color coding, but also making sure those familial relationships are clear as well, is quite important. That maybe there's something there. Alan.
Yeah, there's a question, because the character I got, the Viceroy of Portugal, I'm not quite sure whether he is Portuguese or whether he's a Spanish placeman.
No, he's Portuguese.
He's Portuguese.
Right, because a Viceroy is normally someone in place of the king, and that's why I'm slightly confused.
Yeah, you're basically the king. You know,
Right. Okay.
You know, in that sense, because you've got a crown, because you take it off, and then you say,
Yeah,
no, actually, I'm going to keep it on until they're all dead.
Yeah, I mean, the dropping to the ground bit might be interesting to do.
I think all that matters there is actually it's just the passion, because the whole thing about throwing yourself to the ground is it's some big grand gesture, and I think all you need to do is just go for it.
Yeah, well, I tried to get emphasis into the words. How successfully I did it, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it is difficult. And I did highlight earlier that a lot of the stage directions are less than fully elaborated.
But yeah, that's why we have 2 weeks to make sure that we at least make some level of consistency. We're not necessarily looking for perfection. We're just looking for at least something that gives us a solid idea of how it's going and what's going on. Dan,
I think always the danger with doing deaths in a tragedy is that when done wrong, it just takes you out of the moment when you're watching, especially on Zoom. It just ends up looking silly and getting a laugh when we really shouldn't be getting one. So I would think, unless it's executed well, the simpler the better.
Yeah, and there's a few instances where I think just throwing a slide up of the stage direction will explicate details, so that the complicated business of some murders could be simplified for that. All that matters is that the actor gives a decent death on some level and then switches camera off quickly, and then what's happening with their body is a separate problem.
Yes, because you cut your video feed and you're dead.
But in the case of Horatio, for example, his body is still an active presence. But I think it is still important that he switches off the video feed, and maybe if Sarah or has something that you can cradle as a head or something, and that just so that you can act it and play with it and give that something.
Right. There's no way that sitting there looking dead is going to not evoke something other than a laugh.
Yeah. I mean, it's a complicated bit because it's the whole to do with that he gets hanged up and then stabbed and how that actually works. And I think there are limits to how far we can take that within the framework of what we're doing here. Other thoughts about the complexities issues briefly, because we'll need to close the session shortly. I'll go to Sarah, then Eric. Muted at the moment, Sarah.
I had a question about the stage direction that comes in that bit you were just talking about, Rob, where it says Hieronimo sets his breast unto his sword. This is just before I go into all the Latin dirge.
Which I apologise, it was in this half. I'm sorry.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
Hieronimo sets his breast unto his sword. When I first read that, I thought, oh, he's kind of holding it like over him, like a sort of ceremony, like he's mourning him, like it's a ceremonial thing. And then I thought, actually, no, is it actually that he's set his breast to his sword like he's going to kill himself? And then I couldn't decide what to do, so I just kind of held it there. So if anyone has any thoughts about that, which it is, or what I should be doing, that would be useful.
I thought it was more. Yeah, it was
it's a ceremonial.
It's it's for making an oath kind of thing, isn't it?
It is that.
Because the next thing here, he throws the sword from him, tosses it aside, and bears the body away. I don't think we need to worry about you dragging the body away, but just switch the camera off. But so it's that thing of use the sword as something to act into. as a focus
Okay.
for your moment there. Yeah. I'm gonna have to close in a moment. Eric.
No, I just like the beginning where you've got like this elaborate speech by the ghost telling people how he died, and then going, oh, so now we get to watch this guy live a perfectly happy life with, sort of love affair. I just like the contrast. You expect this sort of, psychopath in Balthazar, but you get this lover boy basically.
There's something really interesting about Balthazar. I quite like the sort of he's this slightly comic in everything that's going on there. It's just the level of comedy that's potential there, because it's just everything's so over the top. And did we talk about him last time as sort of being that sort of rugger chap?
We did, yeah, we did. And he does get more comic as well. He gets more comic and more clueless and less villainy, if I recall that correctly, as it goes on.
As a counterpoint to Lorenzo, who is evil incarnate in so many ways. And it's just it's all important for Hieronimo as well, because it's Hieronimo's just sense that in theory you're supposed to be vaguely in charge of organising some level of justice in this world, and the world around you is just surrounded with injustice, and it's all terrible. So it's quite important for your journey as well as everybody else's. I need to close the session for the public part of the session before we have a quick, more pragmatic chat amongst ourselves about where we go from here. All that remains is to thank all these wonderful readers. We will return with the second half next week, and then we'll return to this half a week after that, he said. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Ta-ta!